So here's a bit of introduction I want to give you into the Kafka ecosystem. And it's really important to understand the whole Kafka ecosystem before we dive into this course, because you'll have a better understanding what you're learning and what you have the chance to learn in the future. So the Kafka core APIs have been here for forever. And at the center, we have Kafka. And usually you have a source system. It could be a HTTP endpoint, it could be a database, it could be whatever. And we will create in this course a producer to produce data directly from whatever you want. We'll just mock data in this case, straight into Kafka. And that's a first very important API to learn. Ideally, you want to move that data after Kafka to a target system to be consumed by a target system. And for that purpose, we create consumers. And consumers, again, are one of the core Kafka API. In this course, we're going to create a consumer as well. Finally, Kafka is managed by Zookeeper. And when we get to the theory section, next section, you will learn about the role of Zookeeper compared to Kafka. So that's for the core API. That's the whole focus of this course. There's a lot to learn here. There's 4 hours of content just on that. And that's already a lot of basics you need to know. But there's more. Kafka recently extended their API. So again, we have a Kafka cluster and we have source systems. And they said, well, listen, it seems that everyone has the same source systems or very similar source systems, and everyone's trying to write the same code over and over again. So instead, they created this API called Kafka Connect. And Kafka Connect basically allows people to publish connectors, basically a reusable piece of code that you just have to configure to just get an ETL from a source system to Kafka. And basically that means that you don't have to code as much. You just need to reuse someone else's code and just configure it to your purpose. So a source system could be a database like PostgreSQL or Elasticsearch or Twitter, whatever. And then same wise, we have target systems, and we'll have the Kafka Connect sync API to sync data from Kafka into the target systems. And again, targets can be whatever you want. It could be HDFS, it could be S3, it could be a Postgres, it could be Elasticsearch, whatever. So this whole idea of source system to target system using Kafka Connect is a course I offer, which is called the Kafka Connect course, and that's an advanced course. Also, you may want to basically transform your data before you sync it using Kafka Connect. And so that means you need to get your data out of Kafka and back into Kafka. And the type of transformations you may want to do could be just simple mappings, it could be some filtering, but it could also be some more complex transformations, such as aggregation, counts, etc., etc. And for this, there is something called the Kafka Streams API. It enables a lot of things, like all these transformations. It's real-time streaming. It's a big competitor to Spark streaming. And it also has something called exactly once as of version 0.11. So I really, if you're interested, I really recommend you check out my course on Kafka Streams, which is another 4 hours. It's a very advanced topic again. So in the order, you should do this course, then Kafka Connect, and then Kafka Streams. Finally, when you get to multi-data center Kafka, you would have a second Kafka cluster and something called mirror maker in between to just replicate from one cluster to another. So that's for the extended APIs. Then we have the Confluent ecosystem. And Confluent is the private company behind Apache Kafka. So although Apache Kafka is open source, Confluent has decided to basically create some proprietary components. Some are open source, but basically to enhance the features of Kafka. So we have the Kafka cluster and we have the schema registry. And basically your Java producers, okay, same as before, same as the one we're going to see, they will send Avro data to our Kafka cluster. And they will not send the full Avro data, they will send only the content of the Avro data. And the schema itself will be stored in the Kafka schema registry. Basically, that allows your message to be much thinner, much more compact, and to have strong enforcing of schemas. Likewise, you have Java consumers. These consume from the Kafka cluster and also read the schema from the Kafka schema registry, and they consume Avro data, deserialize it, and get strong guarantees about the schemas as well. So it's really good components to know, but it's only for Java. And so what Confluent has done is that say many languages will not implement that serializer, etc., etc. So we'll have a Kafka REST proxy. Again, it's by Confluent. And this Kafka REST proxy will basically allow non-Java producers to just do HTTP post requests and leverage the schema registry to push data to Kafka. And then likewise, we'll have non-Java consumers do HTTP GETs as consumers on the REST proxy. And so this whole Confluent stack is a whole different course that I'm planning on doing very soon. So stay tuned. Finally, when you have a Kafka ecosystem, you need administration and monitoring. And here's just a list. There's a topics UI to view the topics content, and we're going to see this in this course. The schema UI to view the schema registry. The connect UI, we'll see this in the connect course. Kafka Manager by Yahoo to see the cluster management. That's for the Kafka setup course. And there's Borrow from LinkedIn to check the consumer lag. Exhibitor from Netflix for Zookeeper management. Kafka Monitor for cluster health monitoring. Kafka Tools for more advanced administrations. Kafka Cat, JMX Dump, and the Control Center by Confluent, which is basically a bunch of paid tools. So as you can see, the Kafka ecosystem is huge. There's a lot to take on. I want to give you a quick high-level overview. And now you may be like, where do I start? What's the deal? So the Apache Kafka series. What you're seeing right now is Kafka for beginners. And this is 4 hours of content to get a very strong base for Kafka. Understand the basic operations, write your first producers, your first consumers, use the CLI, get the theory behind Kafka. And this is already a lot to take on and a lot of learning. And many of fellow students have done that. Once you're done with this course, you may want to extend your knowledge, and I really strongly advise you do. In this case, you may want to learn the Kafka Connect API to import and export data to and from Kafka with limited programming. You may also want to learn about the Kafka Streams API to process and transform data from within Kafka, including aggregations. Then there is, for those who want to become like more of a Kafka administrator and less of a Kafka developer, there's a whole course on cluster setup and administration in AWS. And we'll get a deep understanding about how Kafka and Zookeeper work, how we set up Kafka, how to set up Zookeeper on multiple machines, and how we perform some of the various administration tasks and install some of the administration tools. So really, these things are very from different purpose. The 3 first courses are more for developers, although this one course is also for administrators. And the last one is more for administrators or people who want to set up Kafka. Then we'll have a course on the Confluent components for those who want to adhere to the Confluent components, maybe buy a subscription from them. And then finally, a course on Kafka security. As of today, as I'm recording this course, this lesson, Confluent, the course number 5 and 6 are not available yet, but I'll let you know when they are. And by the way, if you need a link to all these courses with special coupons, just go to the last lecture of this course and you'll find a bunch of links and a bunch of discounts. So I hope you're excited. We're on section 1 of the Kafka series. A lot to take on, lots to learn. I hope you're excited. This is a very dense course, lots of information, lots of hands-on. So see you in the next class.